Hi everybody, Matt Geary for the Geek Pridecast on this Thursday evening. Today I am joined by regulars, Dave Foy.
How's it going?
And John Joe Cosgrove.
Good evening.
And we have two videos for you as well. Two video people. Oh, what am I doing? Yeah, there we go. A rare treat to see John Joe in person.
This is the thing. I always just get told I had a face for radio, so
And that's why you present at the radio station.
that is, yeah. Keep yourself away from the camera.
There you go. What's it like to be in an Irishman sandwich? Though technically you should probably be where Dave is. If I could switch you around, you'd sort of be in the middle there. So two beardy Irishmen with glasses, and then you. You feeling
That's
uncomfortable?
Segregation there, ain't it? And there's you.
You can be the board player. Yeah.
All right. So, first question to you both: did you cave and buy Star Wars Battlefront 2?
I had it pre-ordered, and I will be honest. I've not played too much of the multiplayer, but the single player, the story mode, actually isn't too bad. I am enjoying it.
Okay, Dave, did you pay your voucher? Did you do it?
Yes. Yeah. I was gonna say
no.
kind of.
So
I was gonna say kind of. I wasn't going to, but then obviously I got the voucher from my lovely lady's parents and from her mum, and I thought, bugger it, I may as well. I got it yesterday because I ordered like late on Sunday night, so it came yesterday. And as with every bloody new game, once you have to download all the patches for it, the day one patches. So I only really got a chance to play it earlier, and it's still sort of messing around. So I played the arcade sort of bit, which was actually loads of fun. But I knew it would be loads of fun because it's just going to be the sort of the core gameplay without the loot box nonsense. But yeah, I knew it was going to cave anyway. I knew it was.
Okay, so
But yourself, Matt?
No, I'm not.
You didn't?
I love Star Wars.
Well
Part of me is just because I haven't even played. I bought the new Call of Duty, and I haven't even really played that much. And I'm just getting tired of games like that. And I wanted to play Battlefront, but then I saw some of the reviews, and then obviously out of principle, and everything was just piling up. It's just like, I've got too much stuff to do, so I'm not going to even bother with it and stuff. So I've just left it. I'm not going to bother.
If
with
we
it.
went on reviews, we'd never play or watch anything.
Well, that's true because I still want to see. Well, we'll talk about this shortly. I still want to see Justice League.
We've seen it.
I know. Do you two have seen it? I have not seen it yet, and I don't mind you spoiling it and stuff because I pretty much know what's going on.
Superman
you know
comes
what's
back.
going to happen.
Yeah,
man.
so I'm not that fussed. But
With a terrible moustache.
I'm looking forward to it. But I just forgot what I was going to say there. But didn't buy Star Wars Battlefront. Out of principle, got too much going on, and I just part of me is just kind of sick and tired of games which sort of encourage that sort of thing. And I know they've cancelled. They're not doing it anymore. And I believe that the EU have banned loot crates in games. And I'm not sure, obviously, for definite, for good, I don't know, but
We're going to be out of the EU in a few months, so we'll get them back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Boo.
I don't know if it's I don't know if it's a temporary measure. I think it's just I think it is just a temporary measure or some sort of like and they're trying to introduce legislation around loot boxes so that maybe games in the future won't will have to delete it from their core gameplay. But whether or not EA could probably fight it is another matter because they might bring in the precedent that there's so many free to play games that have this mechanic and there's never been an issue before. It's only the fact that it's sort of like a family friendly big AAA game like Star Wars, and that's why they've suddenly kicked the stink about it. But I don't know.
We'll have to see, I guess. But I kind of want to play it, but then it's like campaign. I heard is only like 4 hours long, and that was one of the big reasons I would want to play it. And as much I've told you all many times before, I hate the grind, and I believe there's a lot of grinding needed to get sort of, you know, lots of things, and I just don't want to get myself sucked into something like that. So I'm just happy enough painting my little toy soldiers and you know, and stuff, and getting my ass and getting my ass handed to me at tournaments and
whatever
stuff.
makes you happy, man.
Yeah, whatever makes you happy and stuff. Okay, so I guess we'll talk about it. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm not really that bothered. Anybody who's watching this now, if you haven't seen Justice League and you don't want to hear it, then spoiler alert. Again, I haven't seen it, but you know, I kind of guess what happens, you know, and I've seen enough sort of what's going on to kind of know all the little bits and pieces that are going on. So it, you know, that's just, you know, one of those things. So you've both seen it. Give me a quick sort of elevator sort of pitch, I guess, but how you thought it was, you know, in sort of like, you know, nothing major, nothing long, but just how do you think? So, Dave, you first.
Oh, okay, right. I'm glad I saw it. I'm very glad I saw it. Just like with any of the recent sort of DC films, I'm glad I've seen them. I really liked Wonder Woman. I really went in with exceedingly low expectation, and it really knocked it out of the park for me. But Batman versus Superman, I just thought was overblown, but a really boring, way too dark, even for a Batman movie. And it just was too many characters, just pointless plot points, just a mess. And unfortunately, I would say that Justice League is very similar to that. I think the input of Joss Whedon has probably been a good thing, where he, you know, I think after Batman vs Superman, I think the prerogative, or the, you know, the studio has been putting pressure on having a more concise 2-hour long movie, which really surprised me. I was expecting another 3-hour epic, but 2 hours really condensed. But the problem with that is it made it zip along, which was nice, but it meant that some of the other characters who haven't had the sort of, you know, the origin story, the origin story, just, it wasn't there. And I felt, especially the Flash, who I really liked, and Cyborg, who I really didn't, but I was interested to see his storyline. It was literally, their origin was like a 3-minute long speech for both, almost, and then it was just bang, we need to go and we need to fight Steppenwolf. And again, I can see why they did that, because it made it more zip along and more sort of, you know, like a typical sort of superhero film. Exactly, but it was just meh. That's really the only word. I mean, I wrote that last night when it came out. It was just meh.
Better.
It was enjoyable enough.
Better or worse than Batman versus Superman?
Better, because I think the action scenes were better. I think some of the characterization was very good. Wonder Woman was fantastic again, but again, she's wasted. Sorry, my partner my girlfriend has just stuck her face in here just to shout in something about Justice League. Too many butt shots of Wonder Woman. I thought that was just fucking stupid. I really did. I thought, is Michael Bay directing this bloody film?
Were they slow motion butt shots?
Yeah, it's just look. I mean, we're talking about this. Like, you look at Wonder Woman. I know it's been advertised. I know it's been already, you know, people have been tweeting about it and stuff, and mentioned in the press about how they've changed the Amazonians' costumes to be more skimpy, and Wonder Woman's skirt is shorter, and which is obviously the difference, because Wonder Woman was directed by a female director and was more about the character and empowering a proper female protagonist, whereas this is maybe typical Zack Snyder in terms of masculine fantasy, and Wonder Woman has to be a bit skimpier. But it literally was, every time you saw Wonder Woman, it was a butt shot, and I was just sitting there. I mean, hey, she looks great, but at the same time, it's like, we've already seen a film where she was the main protagonist, and she was fantastic, and it concentrated more on Gal Gadot as an actress and Wonder Woman as a character, and they didn't need to resort to there's her tits, there's her ass. You know what I mean? And I was just a bit disappointed in that. But again, I think it's just typical of sort of Hollywood and what they think superhero films must be to appeal to the sort of typical male adolescent viewership. But anyway, it was just meh. But there you go.
Jojo, what do you feel?
Quite a bit of that I would actually say I agree on. With it being 2 hours long, the film does move pretty quickly. You don't really feel there's any real lull moments. Criticisms I have is that some of the scenes feel like they've been half finished. Half of the conversations they seem to have just like within about 30 seconds, they're on to the next scene. It's like, well, hang on. Shouldn't there be a bit more of a chat there? I mean, the first meeting with, I know the clips have been online anyway, but the clip they show of Barry Allen and Bruce Wayne first meeting each other is literally no longer than that 30-second scene. They go, oh, who are you? Yeah, I'm Bruce Wayne. Oh, you're supposed to explain I'm here. He throws a batarang at him. He goes, oh, you're the Batman. Oh, so you're fast. Now, we going to team up? Yeah, let's go. That's it. It's like there's like nothing else to go on it. Yeah. The introduction of Aquaman is actually quite fun. I do enjoy that. Although there is, I know a few people said about how he just reveals Bruce Wayne's Batman to everyone. That was a bit strange. But Jason Momoa, I think, was great. Gal Gadot, awesome as Wonder Woman. And one good person I feel really sorry for is, I know it's not his fault because he just done the voice, but Kieran Hines, who I think is one of the best actors in the world. He had the opportunity to play Steppenwolf, and basically they just said to him, for 2 hours, just say some lines in a microphone. We're going to get someone to do these actions for you. Oh, you're going to make me a really great villain, aren't you? Yeah. Did you see the shit thing we did for Suicide Squad? That Incubus guy. Yeah, we're basically going to do it. We're going to make you grey instead of green. That's how we're going to do it.
He looks like he looks like a PS2 boss bad guy. That's what he looks. The animation is woeful. Absolutely.
I was going to say Super Nintendo.
Well, yeah, Mega Drive, Master System. Yeah.
It was, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. There is one scene in particular. He was not for him because his CGI was so shit, but the scene on Themyscira when he invades there to get the mother box, that whole action sequence from the cave or tomb, wherever it is, that's holding the mother box, all the way across the fields of Themyscira, that for me was the best scene in that movie. It was just breathtaking. It was so good, so well done. And one of the big things about the reshoots people have been talking about is Superman and obviously the Flash, you know.
His Tash.
Yeah, and the very first scene that you see it, there's a couple of times it don't look too bad, but then when they have the close up on his face, it looks like his lips are wobbling. It's so weird. It just doesn't look right. They've obviously I think got someone else to talk for him, and then just pasted over a face, a different face actually talking.
Those things you get where like they put the person's lips on somebody's chin and stuff like that.
He's had to grow a mustache because he is the bad guy in the next Mission Impossible film. And what happened was when they were bringing the guys back for the reshoots, Paramount threatened to sue Warner Brothers if he shaved his mustache off. So literally, they got him to act it, and then they got him to act as normal. But then they've spent the guts of $10 million to CGI out his mustache.
They should have just kept the beard and stuff. I've been dead for ages. I've been in a coffin. I'm going to grow a bit of bump off. Can
I just ask? I'm not a CGI expert. I've never ever made a film of Hollywood status. But wouldn't it be easier to CGI a beard on for the scenes that they didn't have to reshoot, and then just let him keep it? It would have been fine. And just quickly on the other characters, Flash, I did enjoy. Flash was quite fun. Wonder Woman, fantastic as usual. Superman, when he's in it, is actually quite good. There is some bits that just once he's in the film, it changes.
I think Henry Cavill's a good Superman. I've loved it. I think Man of Steel was amazing. I think it's great, and I think he's a good Superman. It's just unfortunate that I find myself getting, now again, I haven't seen the Justice League, so I could love it. I doubt it, but
Yeah.
I could. I'm not anybody who goes into these films with preconceptions, and I don't, reviews don't bother me and stuff like that. If I like a film, I like a film, and it doesn't matter. Like, I like Suicide Squad. It wasn't the best film in the world, but I thought it was a good romp, and I enjoyed it.
Jesus, man.
I enjoyed
Oh my
it. So
God.
if it's
I
better
do
than
like
Suicide Squad, then I'll probably like it. So
It's fucking the Ben-Hur of superhero films compared to Suicide
DC.
Squad. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, I think because he's a part of something that's not going brilliantly, partially PR wise, partially because Zack Snyder doesn't seem to have the grips, doesn't have a grip on it properly. Obviously, he doesn't have a grip on it at all anymore, unfortunately. But it just seems like he's now getting tainted, and the people go, "Oh, he's a bad Superman," but he's not. He's a good Superman. I think he plays a good Superman.
Yeah, I think what happened with that is a lot of people when they're making the DCEU, they're trying to take too many tips originally from the Dark Knight trilogy, and the idea was make Superman very grounded, very gritty, and that's what I like about Man of Steel. All right, it's still two guys of like massive power smashing each other through buildings, but on the smaller scale, it adds a lot of heart to it, and it was a lot of great scenes where a building's falling apart, but it's not just buildings fell. You're actually seeing the impact. You see, like hits another building that goes down, and you're just seeing all the destruction. You see all the people that are being affected by it. That's what made that film really good, and that's what stood out. It was kind of blurring that line between reality and comic book. And I know you're gonna moan, but Batman v Superman, I think, followed that a little bit as well. But then Justice League kind of throws it all out the window and goes like 99% comic book. Even the first main scene after the first main scene with Batman, it looks like they've just filmed it on some soundstage. It looks so obvious. It's a soundstage. It's literally like two sets of a building, like a little bit of floor, and it is, and that's it. It just, for $300 million film, some of this film just looks really tacky.
Neither of you have mentioned Batman, Ben Affleck's Batman.
Oh, I was gonna.
Okay. I'll
go ahead,
give
John.
I'll give 2 words. He's fine. I know a lot of people have had issues with Batman. He does seem to be. Ben Affleck seems to have kind of relaxed on this one. He doesn't seem to be as full on the role as he did. He doesn't seem to be having as much energy into it. He seems to be having a bit more of a laugh with it. But compared to the first film, when in Batman v Superman, he was like, my God, this guy's bloody amazing. And, the warehouse scene in particular, he doesn't have a standout scene compared to most of the other cast members. There's nothing about him in this film, apart from maybe a couple of little quips, but there's nothing that actually makes me think that was a good Batman scene. Superman gets his moment. Flash gets his moment. Cyborg maybe gets a moment. It kind of like half one. Aquaman steals the show for me in quite a few places. He's just brilliant. And out of all these, he's the one I want to see now going forward the most. I do want to see what takes Aquaman next, where he's going to go.
So Dave, Batman.
This is going to be hard for me because I remember when Batman vs Superman was just before it came out, and then even just after it came out, and I didn't massively enjoy it, but I still stood up for Ben Affleck as Batman.
Good Batman, yeah.
Because to me, as I've said to quite a few people, Ben Affleck is almost my ideal Batman in terms of the way that he is portrayed, in terms of the way the suit is, in terms of he is as a he's the tank version of Batman of the Dark Knight Returns. He's the tank Batman, the man who has trained himself to physical perfection to be a vigilante, as opposed to the Christopher Nolan ninja Batman, who is just he's a normal guy who's great skills, but he's a normal guy who wears a lot of padding and a lot of armor to make himself tough enough to fight crime. Whereas Affleck is just, I'm a brick shit house, I will fucking break your neck, and to me, the best parts of Batman versus Superman were Affleck. It was the scenes when he's brooding in the Batcave with Jeremy Irons. The warehouse scenes, as John Joe mentioned, was a proper excellent action scene and showed him as a complete badass, just literally laying waste to these guys, to the criminals, and even the start as well, the whole bit when the two cops go in and they see him sort of up in the shadows. That was awesome, absolutely awesome. So the idea of seeing him go forward into a proper Batman film sounded amazing. It really did. He is redundant in Justice League, absolutely redundant, and it's a shame. Not even Affleck himself. I know a lot of people have talked about that he looks bored, that he really just looks just bored, compared to some of the other actors like Ezra Miller and Gal Gadot and so on, or Gal Gadot. But it's just, I think it's just when you look at Justice League in the comics or in the cartoons, yes, Batman doesn't have superpowers, but he holds his own. Because he's a tough son of a bitch. Because not only just the tools and the weapons he has, but because he is a tough fucker. In this, he essentially gets his ass kicked by not a load of, but by one of Steppenwolf's minions. There's a scene where Wonder Woman is fighting toe to toe with Steppenwolf, and the other ones are just beating the crap out of the other minions. The Cacodemon, I'm not too sure, can't remember what you call. But one of them literally kicks Batman's ass, throws him about, nearly kills him. And it's just like, what? And then he resorts to jumping back into his big sort of tank that he has.
Yeah.
And even at the end, when I'm going to spoil it for you, but obviously they all fight against Steppenwolf and the big main standoff. Batman does nothing. Batman literally beats one of them and grabs a gun from one of his minions and just starts shooting people, and that's it. There's nothing else. There's no of him flying around beating the shit out of people just using his brute strength, and it's a waste. It's just, he was just redundant in this film. The film itself, fair enough. Whenever Superman comes back, it's great. He is the Man of Steel and he really makes a difference at the end. But the film itself, the main protagonist in the film is Wonder Woman. She's the one that fights toe to toe with Steppenwolf, and she's the one that has the sort of animosity with Steppenwolf.
Yeah.
So all of the main fights are between the Amazonians and her against him. So she is the main focus of the film.
Yeah. Just quickly, if you're listening to this at the minute or watching it as is, by all means drop us some comments in the comment section on Twitch, YouTube, or Facebook, and we'll try our best to answer them or shout them out. Now, I have a few issues. It kind of makes me slightly sad that I feel kind of sorry for Ben Affleck because he gets a lot of grief, and I honestly think he is one of the best Batmans. I liked the Nolan Batman, but I think, like you said, that Batman from Batman vs Superman, was what Batman should be like, and it makes me sad to think that because the way the films are being sort of portrayed and rushed, that we might not get to see a single Batman film with him in it. And if he do, it'll be a forced one, which he won't really want to do. And that saddens me because I think it's amazing. It also saddens me on the second view because if he leaves, there's a very good chance that they may have to basically change everything else. I'm not sure how they would get, they would change the Batman unless they got in sort of a Nightwing character or something maybe.
There's a better Batman out there. As much as I do love Ben Affleck, there is an actor out there who would make a better Batman.
Who?
John Hamm.
Joe, I like that idea. John Hamm is
Batman.
All right, I'm going to be completely... John Hamm, what's he in?
Mad Men.
What's
no, that means nothing. That means nothing.
No? Oh, okay.
Have you not seen Mad Men?
No, I've not seen any Mad Men, unfortunately. No.
Jeez, what else has he been in?
I've only watched a couple.
Is he the black-haired? I've seen some. I've seen some adverts.
He's the main guy. He's Don.
Don Draper.
Yeah.
Don Draper.
Hello to Robert Hesselton on Facebook. So yeah, it makes me slightly sad that he might leave because I really enjoy him as Batman, and I kind of I just want it to be good, and I want it to sort of kind of go forward. It upsets me that I think there is a fair few people who are enjoying, these DC films. They're more like, yeah, fine. They're not the best, but they're a step in the right direction. But then there's a lot of hurt, and there's a lot of sort of kind of Marvel fanboys, I think, who are sticking the boot in when they know they can, and I think that's hurting things. And
I think there's a lot of factors in this, because one thing with Joss Whedon obviously being the director of the Avengers and Age of Ultron, I think a lot of people have started going on that wagon, started going, well, hang on, is he just basically made Avengers, his version of Avengers 3 in DC?
John Joe, I was going to say, the end of the film,
it's very Avengers. It's very Avengers.
It's Age of Ultron. It's the end of Age of Ultron. I'll not give it away, Matt, but essentially,
like that.
Yeah, when you see it, you'll think it's Age of Ultron.
When they all go away as well, when they all go off in their own
after
direction.
credit scenes, by the way?
There is.
Okay.
There is, yeah.
Okay.
There is a mid and a post credit.
One is shit. One is pointless. One is very good because it features two characters. One fucking amazing character, one fucking terrible character.
Is this the good one or the bad one? The good scene or the bad scene?
Oh, this is the post credit scene.
Oh, you're going for the actual post one, yeah.
Yeah, because the other one's pointless.
The mid one isn't supposed to be much, but it's fun.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what basically is copy Marvel again, because they do one that's quite jokey and then one that's quite a serious one. Yeah. The last scene, not to give anything away, it gives us something that we've been told about for about over a year now, and it delivers it quite well. And then something that I was really hoping wasn't going to be in this film, oh crap, it's there.
It's going to be a lantern, isn't it? It's going to be one of the lanterns, isn't it?
No. But there is a nice little tease to Green Lantern. I'm not going to say what it is, but how they do it is just quite subtle. And at the same time, it's like, I'm actually quite excited now. I want Green Lantern in the series.
See, this is it. There's so much potential, and I just hope it doesn't. I don't hope it. I know it hasn't made as much money as it probably should do opening night, but I hope it makes enough for them to sort of to carry on a bit, because I just want them to have a bit. I want to expand on it a bit more, and it just sort of, it makes me. It upsets me that they just can't.
They've got 3 films.
I loved Man of Steel. I loved that film. Like I 10 out of 10 that film. I fucking loved it. And then it was just like, when I just wanted more. And Wonder Woman as well. Thought it was amazing and stuff. So it's like 2 out of 3 isn't
who
too
takes
bad.
it forward though? Who takes it forward though? Because I think I wouldn't give it to Snyder again, because
I don't think he'd take it on. I think Joss Whedon might do it.
No,
I don't want Whedon to do it, because Whedon has made Avengers and Avengers Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
And like we're saying, this just smells of Age of Ultron all the way through. And being honest, Age of Ultron was the crap Avengers film. I don't want another one like that. The first Avengers was great because it was unexpected. It was something that, not even all the characters were well known. Apart from Hulk and Iron Man, people didn't really know that much of Thor. They didn't know that much of Captain America, especially worldwide. And then look, it became one of the biggest franchises of all time. Marvel have got this thing that they do take a risk, but they also know how to make it fun. They make it accessible for anyone. Whenever DC brings out a film, they always go, "Oh, it's for the fans." It's like, well, no, it should be for the fans anyway. And but this is heartbreaking, because Batman v Superman is Batman as Batman should be. How I read the comics, The Dark Knight Returns, Batman Year One, it's just so much of that. It's the gritty, it's the exciting, it's the almost like it's the most vulnerable version of a Batman you can get. And you got him going up against Superman. You got him going against like complete opposite. This guy could literally flick him and would kill him. That's as powerful as Superman is. All he's got to do is that. But then this is what we're saying. Batman just does nothing. He's managed to fight off the most powerful being in existence. But when you get this guy Steppenwolf, guy just basically swings an axe around. He doesn't even get close to him. Doesn't even try it.
The reason why I wouldn't give it to Joss Whedon is not even the Avengers link. It's because, as we're talking about Affleck, Ben Affleck is the biggest victim of Joss Whedon taking over this film. Because from what I've heard, the main body of what Justice League was before he stepped in was along the same lines as Batman versus Superman. It was revolved around Batman and Wonder Woman leading the team to take on Steppenwolf, and then Superman comes in at the end, and that was it. But and it was going to be dark, it was going to be gritty, it was just along the same lines. And when Snyder left and Josh Whedon came in, the DC, you can tell they brought him in because they went, you've done Avengers, it was fun, it was enjoyable, it was lighthearted, do the same to this film. And you can tell there's a lot of attempts at humor and attempts at lightheartedness like the Marvel films, which fall flat. And the problem is, how can you have lighthearted, witty with Batman? That's not Batman. Batman needs to be dark and brooding, and Affleck just comes off. He's wasted, really wasted, and he tries to resist. That's not fucking Batman. That's not Batman. Yeah. Have it like it is. You ever see Robot? You ever see Robot Chicken?
Yeah.
Yes. Robot Chicken did like a DC special, and it was just absolutely hilarious. And essentially, the two running themes in it were the Batman was a brooding fucker and who just hated everyone, and Aquaman was just useless. And that to me, that's just perfect example in terms of Batman should not be happy and jokey. And I think Affleck is the biggest victim of Josh Whedon coming in. Give it to Patty Jenkins.
Who's Patty Jenkins?
I like that.
Who's Patty Jenkins?
Oh, sorry,
Patty Jenkins done Wonder Woman.
Oh, give it to her.
Okay, yeah,
not
let her.
Patty.
Sorry, hold on. But give it to her.
Jenkins.
That's like he's this Irishman.
That's her husband.
Give it to her. I would genuinely give it to her and let her, because again, you look at Wonder Woman. It was lighthearted, but it also had heart. It also had it also had the darkness and the sort of grittiness of the World War I setting. It worked. She was able to balance the two, and it was done. Were treated the source material with respect, and I just think Josh Whedon isn't the right person to do that. Especially with how he treated Batman.
Daniel's back. We've got Daniel Guy, whose second name we can never pronounce on our podcast. We're literally going to have to get you to send us an audio message of how to say your second name. But for now, you're just Daniel. Personally, I think they're being overly harsh on it. Yeah, it wasn't brilliant, but I had a lot of fun watching it. We've been waiting years for Justice League. I would like to see a lot of the cutout scenes though as well. So yeah, it might be Batman versus Superman.
More in Cyborg.
Batman versus Superman is a lot better. The director's cut is a lot better. Makes a bit more sense. I thought it sort of tied it in a little bit more. Haven't seen this yet, so I'm not sure how it's going to go. I could like it anyway. I'm going with my missus though, so not being a big sort of it's a
nice film to get lost in. Yeah. It's you can just sit there for 2 hours. And I mean, being honest, I think when we think about comic book films, say in 5-10 years' time, you will remember Batman v Superman. You'll remember Wonder Woman. You're not going to remember Justice League. That's a shame, but it's not an overall bad film. It's not like the recent X-Men films. It's not that kind of bad quality. It's still, apart from Logan. Logan is bloody awesome.
It's basically like a popcorn. It's what they call them.
Yeah, it is. It's like Independence Day when the first time I watched that, I didn't think it was a great film, but it was a good 2 hours spent. It was just easy going. It was fun. That was it.
Yeah. It's not a chore. I mean, it does zip along nicely. I just find it a bit vapid, really. It was just a bit sort of, as I said, quite meh. Oh, it's over, right? That's done.
It feels like a 2 hour episode of the Justice League cartoon in a certain way.
Exactly.
It's like not connected to anything. It's just it's like apart from obviously with Superman not being there to begin with. Apart from that, you could just watch it. You wouldn't have to know anything else from the previous films.
Okay, cool.
I wonder if your missus will actually like it, because to be honest, I drag Jade to most superhero films, and to be honest, she enjoys quite a few of them. she hated it. Absolutely hated Justice League. By the end of it, she was like literally sitting head in hands, going, "Oh, I've had enough."
She didn't like.
At least
She
you've
didn't
got a
like.
missus who will go to him.
Yeah, she didn't like Wonder Woman. She liked Thor Ragnarok. Thing is, Louise hasn't seen like any of the Iron Man films. She hasn't seen the Avengers or anything, and so she just goes in and just watches them as they are. So she didn't like Wonder Woman. That being said, my brother wasn't really keen on it. I loved it. So I guess it's just different stroke for different folks. But yeah, I'm just hoping at least it's something I can just switch off and watch and stuff. You know, I'm not expecting sort of like, you know, ecstasy like when I saw Man of Steel or when I saw the first Avengers film and stuff, where I was literally just like hyped the fuck afterwards. It's like, that's the best thing I've ever seen. It's amazing. So as long as I can watch it and just go, yeah, all right, that's okay. That'll be okay for me. I'll be happy with that, because if I'm like that, then a lot of other people will be like me. And then we may get a few more films, you know, we might get an Aquaman. We may hopefully get a new Batman film. So we'll see.
They're going to. I mean, they're definitely going. They're not going to give up on the franchise.
Well, we've got Aquaman coming out into next year, and then you've got Shazam coming out in April 2019.
Which with The Rock?
The
Rock.
No, well, no, they were going to have The Rock, but now apparently they're giving his character his own spin-off. No, they've got the guy from Chuck, Zachary Levi. Zachary Levi's going to be Shazam.
But it's The Rock as Black Adam, isn't it?
Yeah, but they're not putting Black Adam in the first one. They're going to give Black Adam his own film for some reason.
Strange.
Which is stupid.
It's really weird.
Daniel says, what's your number one superhero film of the year? Logan or Wonder Woman? Logan. I have to say, Logan was an amazing film. Loved the Logan. Give me a bit of dust in the eye.
Or Ragnarok.
Really? Did you not think it was slightly overly comical?
No, I loved it.
It was hilarious. It was hilarious. Don't get me wrong. I did enjoy it, but it's like it went from slightly serious in the first sort of film, and maybe the second one as well, and then it went sort of like completely the opposite direction. And part of me just kind of went, yeah, maybe slightly overly doing the comedy, because it takes away like the bits with what's his name?
Loki.
No,
Jeff Goldblum.
No, not the plays fucking Odin.
Anthony Hopkins.
Anthony Hopkins, yes, Sir Anthony Hopkins. Even the bits with him where he's dead and he's trying to sort of, it's meant to be more of a poignant moment, and even then there's still a bit of a hint of comedy to it, and it's just like it sort of took the edge off it slightly for me. I loved it. I did really enjoy it, but I thought it could have toned it down ever so slightly.
It was a breath of fresh air. To be honest, I loved Logan. Logan was a phenomenal film. I loved Wonder Woman. So there's been some great superhero films this year, but it was just so different. It was just so out there, and it was so much fun. And to me, it needed the Marvel films. Have always had that sort of comedy, and it was just taking it that step further. And letting Chris Hemsworth, who is a natural comedian, if you see some of his other he just was able to carry that film himself, whereas I don't think he was able to carry the first two. I think the first two were very much Anthony Hopkins and Loki. It was Odin and Loki, and Thor was just a sort of forgotten character, whereas this was his film. He carried it, his natural comedy, comedic side and his natural charm carried it. It had a great story, it had a great villain. It was just something different, because I think so far too many of the recent superhero films and the TV shows, they've just been dark. It's just, I just wanted something a bit different and a bit more light and a bit more fun, and fucking neon music, or the neon and the class 80s electronic music. It just blew me away, because it was just like I could switch off for 2.5 hours here and have a laugh, and that's it. Is it going to be one of the greatest superhero films? Is it really? Probably not. But I prefer, and it was so much better than Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Now that's
another one, I suppose.
That's what I was going to say, because I would probably say I'm very tired, because they're two different films, but between Thor Ragnarok and Wonder Woman, I'd have as my favourite. But in not terms of the worst film, but probably the one I was disappointed by, was Guardians of the Galaxy 2, mainly because I rewatched it a couple of weeks ago. And the first time I watched it in cinema, I loved it. And don't get me wrong, I still do like it quite a lot. But it's when you compare it to the first one, it seems to repeat a few of the tropes that made the first one popular. It basically relies on a lot of the same plot devices that the first one made unique. And just overall, it just doesn't seem to have the same heart to it as what the first one did. Don't get me wrong, the whole thing with Peter and Ego, especially the big thing where it turns out, oh no, Ego actually did kill his mum. At that point, I just really in my mind, I just went, I'm not going to say the word because I was like, I'd never got that angry at a film character before. I was like, my God, you bastard! Why did you do that? But when I think about the rest of that film, there's just so much about it. Don't get me wrong, it still makes me laugh. I still enjoy it, but to the potential that was there, I just feel it could have been so much better. There was so much more they could have done with it.
Daniel said that, and this is quite a good point actually, and I thought about it this way actually. I think they will make a lot of changes with the Flashpoint, especially if Affleck wants to leave the franchise. That is a good point, because if Ben Affleck wanted to leave, which I hope he doesn't, to be honest, but if he did want to leave and they wanted to carry on the franchise and get a new Batman, Flashpoint would be a natural way to get a new Batman, basically.
Possibly, but but if you read the comics or if you've seen the animated film, it's still the same Batman even after.
I know that, but if they're trying to I know they're trying to find out if they're trying to sort of get a plot armor, they're trying to get through it.
There is one good thing though, because we will have. Obviously, dependent on he still does his part from Batman v Superman, we will have Jeffrey D. Morgan as the Flashpoint Batman. That's got to be worth watching.
What? Really?
Jeffrey D. Morgan, he plays Thomas Wayne in Batman v Superman. So if they do Flashpoint, you've got the elder Batman. So he will be.
Wow, that would be good.
God, I think we just made Matt a bit too excited there.
Yeah,
Jesus.
I think it's
also another reason to get excited. I was actually quite disappointed. Not a massive spoiler because it's already been advertised on the credits and so on. But Barry Allen, the Flash's dad, is played by the guy who played Dr. Manhattan in the Watchmen film.
Yeah.
Yeah, Billy Crudup. I kept on waiting for him to sort of turn blue and start swinging his big Dr. Manhattan cock around, but no, it didn't happen, unfortunately.
Oh man, fucking hell!
There is a lot of fan service in this film. There is a lot of fan service. You do get a bit of something for each character though. So with Cyborg, you've got his dad, who's played by Miles Dyson from Terminator 2. That's all I know him for, so that's all I'm going to refer to. You also have, obviously, with Flash, you've got his dad, and then with Aquaman,
Jimmy Olsen from the original.
Jimmy
Superman films.
In it,
yeah.
He's in it in a short bit. Yeah,
he's apparently in it. Okay, so it's not going to rock your world, but it's
enjoyable.
You're not going to go out like Dave's missus and hate it. Well, most people aren't going to go out and hate it. It's just going to be sort of like, yeah, all right, that's not too bad. We'll just go with it.
I'll be honest, man. I think you'll enjoy it. I think you will enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm easily amused. Things. I don't overly look too deep into things, to be honest. Yeah. I look deep into a lot of other things, but for some reason, films, as long as they sort of have certain things that press buttons for me, then I'm happy enough just to watch them and stuff.
Superman comes off really well in it. Superman does come off very, very really well in it. Although his weird lip doesn't, but sure, it's a trade-off.
Before we come off the subject, I will just say that the first scene with Superman is really good. It's quite fun, and yeah, just you got to watch it. Oh. It's good.
Yeah, cool.
I have to mention one thing. One thing. It was actually really funny, and then we'll leave it. Oh no! I'll mention one thing. It's really funny because obviously there's the whole talk of his mustache and his lip and so on. Something else came to me while I was watching it, and both myself and Jade actually brought it up when we were talking about it because it was so stupid. So obviously, Superman's dead. He's in his coffin, and they pull him out of his coffin. He's in his suit. Okay, so he's in a suit, and then when he sort of comes back, his suit magically disappears, and he's wearing a pair of fucking black silk pajama bottoms. It's like, where the fuck did they come from? Is this the equivalent of the Hulk in his purple pants?
Yeah. Well, isn't he meant to wear black when he comes back in the comic books and stuff? He comes back in a
Yeah,
black
but it's
outfit.
supposed to be a full black suit.
Yeah, it's full black because that helps him regenerate.
But he's supposed to have a mullet as well.
Yeah.
But, they missed that one.
Yeah.
They missed out on that one.
Okay, I'm going to hopefully watch it on Sunday. I wanted to watch it tomorrow, but I get shouted at by my missus if I want to see it on my own tomorrow without her. So I'll not. I'll go and see it on Sunday with her. So moving on, Lord of the Rings going to be taken on by Amazon. Thoughts?
I kind of like the idea, but at the same time, the Lord of the Rings trilogy is three of my favourite films, and
Agreed.
I feel unless it's going to be related to them, so if it's going to be like prequels to something like that, if they're just going to remake Lord of the Rings, no, not for me.
They can't do a remake because it's literally going to be one of those things. Why would you reboot something that has been so good? I hope. Now, they say Lord of the Rings. A lot of people say, well, it's Lord of the Rings, so it's going to be the three books. It's like Lord of the Rings effectively is just all of the, the story within. So from the Silmarillion onwards.
Yeah.
And so you have, and because they spent a lot, apparently they've spent 750 million on it. Thus far, it's going to be one of the most expensive TV programs ever.
They've spent all this money. It's not even
for the rights.
Like once
250 million for the rights, and the rest is just for other bits and bobs. So it's going to be one of the most expensive TV programs ever, and it could, if they do the Silmarillion. Now, if you haven't read the Silmarillion, it's pretty hard going. I've read it a couple of times, but it's basically the creation story for Middle Earth, and there's a lot of good stories within that, and it sort of would go along the lines of Game of Thrones in that there's a lot of fucked up stuff happens, especially, the children hearing and stuff. And the stuff,
I love the children hearing.
The bit with Galrong, the dragon, and stuff. So there's a lot of stuff in there that could work out quite well. And if I think they've got six seasons. They've got it penciled in for 6 seasons.
And the movie.
Yeah. So I reckon they could literally do a lot of Silmarillion stuff, and then they could do stuff in and around the War of the Ring. They could even do stuff afterwards, because there is a little bit afterwards. But there's a lot in there that could be done, and I don't think they need to do the War of the Ring. Well, no, I lie. They could do the War of the Ring, but they can't do the Fellowship of the Rings. So we'll see. But I don't think people are going to be overly happy if they redo what's already being sort of bested. Basically, you're not gonna beat for the time being. You're not going to beat the original trilogy film wise. So let's hope it's the Silmarillion or something along those lines. Maybe something about some of the Duradan, or maybe even the dwarves in the north, or something like that. But we'll see.
Fingers crossed, guys.
I will be honest and say I have literally no interest.
David.
No, but and this is someone. I mean, I adore. As a child, I adored the Lord of the Rings. The Hobbit and even the Silmarillion. I loved reading them when I was a kid. I really, absolutely adore the Peter Jackson films. The original Lord of the Ring films, not the Hobbit films. But it just, I think, early 2000s, being obsessed with Lord of the Rings, watching it continuously, I've really just done myself out of it. Really, I don't know. I think they are just of their time and are just perfection, and the idea that it's like, right, a film that was made, a set of films that were made what 17 years ago.
Yeah, 2000 the first one came out. Yeah,
I just the idea that's like, oh yeah, Game of Thrones has been such a runaway success, so what else is there that we can make it in terms of a sword and sorcery? Well, there's this and there's that, but sure, fuck it, come on, we'll buy the Lord of the Rings and we'll just remake Lord of the Ring. Why? It's just going to be, fair enough, you're absolutely right, man. If they try to do something different, if they do take it from a different viewpoint and ignore the War of the Rings and the War of the Ring and ignore what has already been covered in the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings trilogy, that's great. I hope it's really good, but they're not going to be able to. It's for them to really satisfy people who would want to watch it and to get as much money back from it as they can. They're going to have to remake the Lord of the Rings, the main Lord of the body of the Lord of the Rings, and I just think it's gonna be compared to Jackson's trilogy, and it's not going to be as good. It really isn't going to be as good.
Because it is quite battle heavy as well, and you're going to have some serious money pumped into that shit. Pelennor Fields, Helm's Deep, a lot of that stuff's going to be, Osgiliath.
It's just, man, it's there's so many great, there's so many great pieces of sword and sorcery literature out there that could be made into a TV show, and that hasn't, that hasn't had a film adaptation. I mean, the big one for me is The Witcher. The big, the Andrzej Sapkowski.
Are they doing a Witcher series?
Netflix are apparently developing one now, but you think there's 8 books altogether, 8 or 9 books altogether. Not, the video game is super successful. That's something that can be explored. Something like that. Do something original. I just think the idea of doing something or trying to remake. Yes, it's going to be a TV show, but trying to remake something that had super successful films only a decade or so back, it's just stupidity. It really is, and I just have no interest.
Looks like a bit of a money grab. I think they kind of went, Netflix probably went, we're going to do this, and then Amazon's like, shit, we haven't done anything really good in a while, so let's do this as well. That being said, I'm watching Mr. Robot at the minute, and that's fucking awesome. Really enjoy Mr. Robot.
Oh, I love that show. Yeah, I think when the end of the season comes up, we need to discuss Mr. Robot.
Yeah. Katie Nadine says, unless they throw billions into it, it's always going to look a budget version of the films. Now, the films, if you go back and watch them, haven't aged as well, maybe, as they should. I love those films. You just have to look at them. I love them. They're like they're the films I've always wanted when I was a kid. Even when the cartoon came out and you didn't get the whole thing, I was just like, I just want them to make some films. And when they came out, I stood and I applauded. And when I watched them a billion times, but going back and watching them now, I don't know what it is, but you can sort of tell it's all set pieces and things. It doesn't seem to as. It's not bad. It's just it's a bit more noticeable than it was back then.
You got to think of it this way, right? You got to think of it this way. These films came out 17, 18 years ago, right?
Yeah.
The combined budget for all 3 films was $281 million. That's the combined budget for the 3 films. 3 massively successful films, and as well, and that's including all of the footage that was made that went into the extended editions. But Justice League was made with it cost $350 million for one film.
Fucking hell.
You know what I mean? And if you think, yes, those films, there are some parts of it that haven't aged well. Some of the effects aren't great. Some of the miniature, especially, I always remember the scenes in Moria in Fellowship.
Yep.
Some of the scenes which, there's the wee computer generated guys as they're jumping off the steps.
Yeah.
It doesn't look great now, but if you think of how that looked in 2000, 2001, it was awesome.
Yeah.
And it's not even just, it's the spectacle of those films. It's, yes, the technology that did quite a few was primitive compared to today's standards, but if you look at the talent in terms of the prosthetic effects, how the orcs looked, how the other creatures looked, it's untouchable. It's phenomenal. But it's just, she's absolutely right. Whoever said that, it's just, it will cost them so much to try and replicate that, and it just on TV, and it really won't work.
Yeah, I will just say that when we think about Lord of the Rings, you look at it. Yeah, there was some special effects here. Obviously, they had some special effects, but you look at how much there was practical in that film as well. Yeah. I mean, apart from like a couple of the villains, all the orcs, all the Uruk-hai, they were actual people in suits. These were people who were like actually made up to look like them. And
that's where the Hobbit went wrong.
The Hobbit just failed in that side.
CGI'd it all, and it was just like, why?
And Joe, I was just having a quick look at this because I wanted to check this thing about the budgets, because I've been told about this before. The budget for just one of the Hobbit films, no lie, just for one of the Hobbit films, was as much as all three Lord of the Rings films combined. And you think, how crap does the Hobbit look compared to Lord of the Rings? Lord of the Rings, to me, just because more money went to the practical effects on obviously hiring the extras to be the Orokai, to be the obviously the guards for the humans, and but portraying the elves, portraying the dwarves, basically being the actual person there. They spent a lot less money because obviously getting these people actually trying to do all these different techniques, but it looks so much better than something that when you see it, it's like it doesn't look like it's actually there. It just looks really bad.
Yeah. I would actually prefer sort of slightly aged looking sort of practical effects over fucking lame looking CGI. I just CGI looks like CGI. There's not, I don't think anybody's really got it right yet, and I would prefer it to be something that looks sort of real and tangible than something that looks like that's one of the issues I had with Wonder Woman. Some of the CGI was a bit dodgy, and I wasn't overly keen on that.
You're gonna love Justice League now.
Yeah.
good old Steppenwolf.
Yeah, it's like Wonder Woman had half the budget of Justice League, and Wonder Woman to me looked a lot better because they actually had real sets. So,
but yeah,
good luck.
Okay, cool. All right. Has anybody watched Punisher?
I've seen 2 episodes of it so far, and I'm enjoying it. I will admit, I am actually enjoying it quite a lot. I'm obviously needing to watch the rest to get a full feel of it, but I like that. I've seen a few people say there is comments about it seem to be a bit pro-gun, and obviously I've only watched the first 2 episodes. I'm not going to judge the rest of it, but from what I've seen, John Bernthald's character as the Punisher, he very rarely uses a gun from what I've seen, and it does seem to be like he's bringing down the people who are using guns, which I thought quite good.
I think it's my sort of take on it, and I appreciate that. It's just a view that it's just popped into my head, but sort of at the start it doesn't really sort of push that. It is more to do with him using his fists and a sledgehammer and things like that, but there's a bit in it, and this is what sort of kind of left a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth. And I appreciate, if you're listening to this and you're an American, you've got your right to do whatever you wish and stuff. Personally, I'm not pro-gun and stuff, so what I got was you had the anti-gun sort of senator, and he was a sniveling coward, and he was a bit corrupt, and he was not corrupt, but a bit a hypocrite. And you had, I can't remember the name of the journalist. What's her name? Blonde-haired journalist who's in Daredevil. And
Karen.
Yeah, she is very much there's a case where she's got a concealed gun in her handbag, and she's very sort of kind of proud of the fact that she's got this gun in her handbag because that's her right, and that becomes an important part later on. And that for me was just like, it wasn't really going in that direction, but that sort of focused it into that whole thing, as in like, there was no guns are bad. It's more like people are bad and good citizens have guns and stuff. That was my view on it. I could be completely overthinking it, but in general, loved it. Really, really loved it. Only issue I had, and I was looking on these really stupid things, and I think John said it to me. When you watch something, you binge watch something, you start sort of questioning things a bit more because you haven't had a week to sort of kind of let it go. You're just kind of going, so wait a minute, he's just had a punctured lung and he's been stabbed. And he's literally being nearly killed, and an hour later he's up and at him and fucking kicking the shit out of somebody else, and it's just like, fucking hell, man. It sort of kind of remind me of what's it called, Last Action Hero, when he's bleeding and he's dying, and then they put him through the portal, and he says, "Oh, it's just a flesh wound." It was like one of those things, It's just mad, But yeah, good, really good. I think it's it's brutal. It's kind of messed up, but yeah, that sort of the wound regeneration seems to be pretty mad.
He's not Wolverine, like.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's that and stuff. So, allegedly, because Disney are starting to want to do their own streaming thing, they're stopping Netflix from having any more of their IP. Apparently they can have what they've got already, but they're not allowed anything else, which is a shame.
I have heard slight rumours that they have got at least one more in production for Netflix, but they haven't announced who it's going to be yet. But they may be introducing them in the next series of Luke Cage. I'm quite hoping it's going to be Moon Knight. I really want to see Moon Knight TV show.
Interesting. That could be interesting.
Was there not a Cloak and Dagger?
Cloak and Dagger's being made. That's on another channel in America, coming out I think in February or March.
Right. I like the idea of Cloak and Dagger. I've always really like. I know there was Cloak and Dagger. I think there was Morbius as well, wasn't there? There's Morbius, the Living Vampire was another one that they were gonna.
I think they're doing that as a film. Because Sony, obviously, they want to do this whole Spider-Man universe without a Spider-Man. They're really pissing people off now. I mean, I'm gonna see Venom because Venom is one of my favourite villains of all time, and I kind of hope that they're lying to us. I kind of hope it is still going to be tied to the MCU. There'll be this big thing, like this 10-minute prologue where it's actually Tom Holland's Spider-Man. He's got the black suit. He has a bit of conflict. He throws away the suit. And then it's like, Eddie Brock's now found it. And then like go forward, whatever, a year, 10 years, whatever they do.
I wonder if they'll have Carnage. I wonder if it's going to be Carnage.
Carnage is apparently the main villain.
Good.
That'll be good. That'll be
Love Carnage.
And I was just trying to think of the guy's name. Riz Ahmed, apparently he's going to be playing Carnage. He was in Rogue One.
Good choice.
The Night of, is that the show that he was in?
He's in a really good. He does quite a lot of good stuff, but he's in a really good sort of. It was a 2-part series that was on like Channel 4 ages ago called Brits, and he played an MI6 agent or analyst. No, was it MI5? MI5. And his sister, and it was basically from 2 points of view, and it was like basically they were both obviously of Pakistani descent. They brought over to Britain, and it was basically about his sort of views as being an MI5 agent and how he felt about the country, and then his sister, who again was brought up the same way, but she went the other direction and became basically a suicide bomber, and it's really good. It's really good 2-part series and stuff, and it's got like completely sort of 2 different views on the things, and they sort of kind of join up. And yeah, it's worth. If you ever get a chance, you should watch it because that's really good, and he's very good on it.
He was also in one of my sort of favorite, sort of forgotten about shows, which was Dead Set. Have you ever seen the Charlie Brooker Zombie Big Brother show?
Yeah.
He was one of the main guys in that. It's hilarious. That's a really good. I think it's really good casting for Carnage. My one worry is the idea of how they portray Carnage, because I think, you know, if this would have to be a hard R movie. I think, you know, you can't. Fair enough, Venom. You know, you don't need to have him be as violent as he is in some of the comics, but Carnage he's a mass murderer. You know, he's a mass murderer by trade. So I mean, you need to have it as hard as you possibly can. And again, if Sony do want to try and water it down as much as they can to try and appeal to a broader audience, I think that could spell trouble for the project.
Well, I think they've shown that R-rated heroes work. You know, with Deadpool.
Well, Deadpool,
and even Logan. You know, they've shown that these sort of films can make big bucks if they're done properly. So I don't see why they wouldn't do it properly, because, you know, Carnage is a rapist and a murderer, and, you know, you can't really sort of what's the words? You can't
give that character without actually
dilute him. That's it, dilute him. You can't dilute him. Yeah. So he needs to be sort of horrifying.
And I think the only problem I think with this is that I'm hoping the film will be good, because, like I said, Venom is one of my favourite comic book characters of all time. I just fear if this film is successful, they're just going to milk this side of the Spider-Man franchise like they were going to try and do a few years ago. I reckon they're just going to do it so much. They're going to have this Morbius, the Living Vampire film. They're going to have the Silver Sable and Black Cat movie. I just think that's a bad idea. Why not? I know, obviously, we say about, you know, all these connected universes do get a little bit ridiculous after a while, but Venom is a Spider-Man villain. Spider-Man is in the MCU. To me, that's a no-brainer. Put him in the MCU. That's where he belongs.
What you got there,
Make
Dave?
make
Oh,
Spider-Man
Make
Max,
this.
Max Spider-Man
maximum.
Maximum Carnage.
make that have that be the basis for the Venom film.
If that's it, I will be so bloody happy. Apparently, they're
Yeah.
taking the Agent Venom storyline for the Eddie Brock side of it. But in the Agent Venom, it was actually Flash Thompson. He has his legs blown off in the war, and then they give him the Venom symbiote to basically say that this will help you, and obviously it helps regrow his legs. I think he has like 99% control of the symbiote, so it doesn't take over his mind. He's not inflicted by any of the bad side of it, but he's able to obviously increase his strength. He can take the suit down, so he's able to be himself. It's a really interesting story, but I think there is one part of it where he does kind of lose control, and I kind of hope that would be still a basis of the story. And I'm excited.
I don't know a lot about Venom, to be honest, because I wasn't a massive comic book geek when I was younger. I've only learnt from what I've sort of seen and read on Wikipedias and things like that. It's something like he's like an anti-hero in that he kind of kills people instead of sort of kind of sticking them in jail and stuff. So he's kind of a Punisher type character.
Yeah,
I mean, it's typical. You know, you get this throughout comics where a character will come in as a villain in most cases, and they'll become quite popular to the extent that they need to turn them, into a hero. But it's good, like in terms like the Punisher. He does have that sort of darker side. He kills, but he's doing it. He kills only when he's protecting other people. You know, he is a protector. He is a hero, but he doesn't see himself, and that's where the sort of the dilemma with him is, where he wants to totally give in to the symbiote. He wants to become, he wants to let himself become its tool and cause carnage or cause murder. Whereas he tries to fight and tries to remain good to some extent, but he knows that by killing people, killing criminals and killing bad people, it helps sort of keep the symbiote in check. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. Okay. Okay. We are probably going to have to end it there because we're like 10 past the hour. So anybody got anything they want to say before we leave?
Go on, Dave.
Go on, John Joe. I'll let you go first.
Okay.
I'm going on a rant. Sorry.
The one thing I just want to say is one of the films I'm looking forward to superhero-wise, there's quite a few, but one I'm really looking forward to is Captain Marvel, because I have been a big fan of all the Captain Marvel books, not just Carol Danvers' version, but the actual Marvel one. And they have announced that Jude Law is going to be portraying the male Captain Marvel in the upcoming film. And I know
why don't they do the female Captain Marvel?
They are doing the female Captain Marvel.
Oh, okay.
But it's kind of like how they done Ant-Man, where it was basically Hank Pym passing it on to Scott Lang. I think it's going to be that kind of story. It's going to be sort of like the mentor training the mentee, and then obviously the female Captain Marvel is the second one anyway. She will then be the main Captain Marvel. And I don't know how much of the film he's going to be in, but I like Jude Law. I'm hoping he will actually have a good role in the film.
I'm quite shocked because we're currently doing, and I'm doing them sort of like 5 days a week, sort of daily, sort of who would win in a fight sort of things. And, so we've got like obviously Deadpool versus Deathstroke and Kong versus Godzilla and stuff. Today we had Wonder Woman versus Captain Marvel, the female version of. And Captain Marvel was winning for quite a while. As it stands, it's 51% the Wonder Woman and 49% the Captain Marvel, which kind of shocked me because I thought everybody would just be going for Wonder Woman, but seems
they're quite. I think that they're quite, they're quite even in terms of power in a sense. And I think, Wonder Woman is obviously the more sort of well-known character, but I think anyone who does have a passing interest in comics will know who Captain Marvel is and will know that she is a great character. Well, the most popular version of the character is a great character. But again, I'm really interested to see what they do with the film. Again, it's the chance for it's the chance for Marvel to finally give a female protagonist their own movie. I mean, they probably should have done one with Black Widow a long time ago. But it'll be great to see a proper, great fleshed out character and a female character given a proper movie.
I think
if you want to hear about a Black Widow film, then you can knock off to our other podcast, Pitch Please, where they pitch a Black Widow film. They're meant to be doing others at this moment in time, but they're being lazy bastards and haven't put anything.
I need my invite. I need my invite for the show.
I meant to be doing one with Lord of the Rings for them, but I haven't had my invite yet either, so we'll see.
God. And can I do a Nightmare on Elm Street one?
Well, that'd be good, yeah.
I'd love to do a Nightmare on Elm Street one.
Okay, so Dave, what were you going to rant that before we
well, where did I start? So, I'm not sure if you heard the news this week that MCM have decided to cut a load of their Comic-Cons.
Yeah, Liverpool's going,
but the big one is obviously, well, for me personally, the big one is the Belfast / Northern Ireland Comic-Con has been cancelled.
They're getting rid of it.
Yeah,
it's one of the ones that's been cancelled. So it's been going now for 3 years. The MCM one's been going for 3 years. I've been to all three really great. Yes, the last 2 years have been in a bit of a strange venue. They moved it from a venue basically in the centre of Belfast out to the sticks, out to the arsehole of nowhere, essentially, out
to a former jail.
In like an old, it's a former jail, which is they converted into a concert and an events venue. But it's always been really well organised. The venue and has been good. The amount of people going to it, it's always packed. Yes, the quality of stars that MCM seem to be able to attract to the Northern Ireland Comic Con has been pretty woeful, to be honest. I think we always seem to get the short end of the stick when it comes to stars. I mean, I remember the first year I went, the top billed star was fucking Shane Ritchie. and Alfie Moon and what's her face Cat Slater from EastEnders, which was a bit of a fucking insult, but yeah, it's a bit of a kick in the balls for Northern Ireland geek fans that they've that they've cancelled altogether, and also the news maybe a month or so back that Showmasters have now cut the Belfast Filming Comic-Con down to 1 day.
So you're going to have basically nothing then?
No, to be honest, the only con that we will have, and it's by far still the best, is the QCon, the Queen's Con in Queen's University, which by its nature is quite a different convention. It's very much an anime and comic convention. It's one that's done.
Your cats
are killing each other in the background here. But it's one that's very. It's sort of, it's not done by a bigger organization. It's one that's created and maintained by people in the local geek community. But yeah, other than that, everything else is now going, which I think is absolutely pathetic. Every year you get the same bullshit from these companies. Oh, we're committed to working with all of our great fans in all of these areas, and we're going to keep on getting bigger and better. And to have them release the statement this week where it's like, oh yeah, these conventions, we're going to cut these down just so we can concentrate on making the bigger conventions. So the typical London Comic-Con, the Glasgow, the Manchester, the Birmingham, it's just pathetic. It's like, yep, all these commitments we've made, fuck it. We're just going to run these ones because we know that we can concentrate on these 4 big events and we can up our prices. Mm-hmm. And people will still come to them. Now, to be honest, those it's shit. I feel sorry for people like Liverpool and so on. But the thing is, if you're in Liverpool, you can hop on a train and you can be in Manchester within an hour and a half. For someone in Northern Ireland to go to a con, yes, there's the possibility that Dublin Comic Con may still go ahead. But for someone who maybe can't get to Dublin, the nearest what we can do is have to hop on a plane and go to the mainland UK. It's just a bit pathetic. But again, if you've seen the way, although MCM is still well run, if you saw the disaster that was the Showmasters Belfast Film and Comic Con last year, you can see that, you know, I don't think it's anything to do with the level of interest and the level of excitement that exists in the local geek community. I think it's just the fact that it's maybe probably costing too much money and too much effort for the bigger companies to come over here.
That
so they're just
surprises
thinking,
me because I thought it would be more likely to be Showmasters the can it than MCM. Showmasters are obviously a bit more notorious as to be, they've got a lot bigger stars, but they're a bit more sort of tight on the money, as it were. So if they were going to do any cuts, savings, I thought they would be the ones to go, not MCM. So that is very disappointing. You know, obviously I can't moan because I'm in Manchester, so
yeah. Oh no, exactly. That's
and I can't moan because I'm in London.
Yeah, it's not even. I mean, obviously, it's nothing to do with sort of, you know, sour grapes in terms of people who do live in a city where there is going to be a con. To be honest, we'll probably just go to the Dublin one. But it's people. It's for people who can't travel. It's for, you know, you look at a lot of for me going there and covering those for Geek Pride. A lot of what I was seeing when I went to those conventions is not only a level of interest from sort of established people in the geek community and the cosplayers and so on, but it's families, it's people, you know, families, young kids coming in. You see them getting excited over, you know, some of the people who are there and getting excited to see, you know, characters walking around in costume. And it's getting, you know, the fact that parents can bring their kids to these, which is now obviously been taken away because you're either going to have to travel for a couple of hours to get to Dublin, or you're going to have to pay for flights and pay for accommodation to go over to one of the ones in mainland. So it is a bit of a kick in the balls for the local fans that, you know, apparently we were such an important part of their community. Obviously not.
Oh, that's very disappointing. Okay, we're going to have to end it there. So it's been 1 hour and 20. But thank you very much for everybody who has dropped us a message, has been watching, and is going to watch or listen later on. I have been Matt Geary. He has been John Joe Cosgrove.
I certainly have.
And the other guy has been David Foy.
See ya.
Thanks a lot, everybody, and good night.